Hi everyone, welcome back to the London Football Show. The season draws to a close, so time for another episode. Uh, I'll start off with my club. Obviously, the drop points against Ipswich. Obviously, week before last, we dropped point with 5 points dropped against Ipswich this season. Probably going to cost us top four. Even though we lost, no, even though we had a good result in isolation against Fulham, it's a bit too little, too late. You look at our fixtures remaining. We still have to go to St James's Park. We still have to go to Forest away. We've probably got the toughest running out of all the teams in that sort of mix. City obviously won yesterday. They're probably nailed on for it now. Forest, good win on Monday. Villa are still in it. Obviously Newcastle and us. So it's about what, five teams looking for, is it three spots? So two of us are going to miss out. And yeah, I think we'll be one of them, and it'll be another season without Champions League football. We're still in the Conference League, of course, but if you win that, it's Europa League football either way. So all roads lead to Europa League, as far as I'm concerned, whichever route we go down. So and where we were at the start of December 2nd, I was thinking at one point, like, if we fall off, because we're never gonna keep up with Liverpool, but I was like, I knew Arsenal would overtake us, but we should have been aiming for third at the start of December, in my opinion. So to let all these teams overtake us when we got knocked out early of both domestic cups, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, not really good enough. Newcastle obviously went all the way in the Carabao Cup whilst maintaining a sort of top four push. Other teams, Forest, Villa, City, they're all in the FA Cup semi-final. So we've probably, even though we've been in Europe, we've probably played the least football out of all those clubs, because some of them, Villa, obviously were in Europe as well, and then obviously in the FA Cup. So yeah, everything was in, all the cards were in our favour, to be honest, and we've still made a pig zero of top four. So yeah, no, not good enough at the end of the day. Even though the Fulham comeback in isolation is a good result. If it's just that game, fair enough. But across the whole season, especially second half of the season, it's been poor from December onwards. So yeah, that's sort of Chelsea. Obviously, we're still in the Conference League. We'll see what happens, but we're probably going to get Europa League via the Premier League anyway. So either way, there's nothing for me to gain. So yeah, that's Chelsea. In a nutshell. I don't know if anyone has anything to add, or
No,
we'll move on. Move on then.
I
Was that?
think I think I will say one thing: Chelsea are building for the future.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
what they're doing.
all our
That's what
players are
they're
young,
doing.
so we
That's
got
what
no.
they're
We need
doing.
experience in this squad.
And
I've been
like
saying that we don't have any. We've got no leadership.
there's nothing wrong with winning the Europa Conference. Not many teams have done it. Not many
Listen, look,
teams have done it. Not
listen. I need to see what's happening in the
some
summer.
teams can manage to go unbeaten when they win it.
We,
In
we've
the whole
we've won Europa League.
process.
They've won the Champions League unbeaten. We've won Europa League
Yeah,
unbeaten. We know how
you
to go
know.
unbeaten in Europe.
So
Where everyone's done it.
yeah, we're not
Everyone
talking
here's done
about
it.
old school. We're not talking about
Anyways,
old school. We're
Rosampton,
talking about recent.
Rosampton, Man United. Is this gonna be the worst season from a Big Six team in Prem history? Big Six or the original Big Four: Liverpool, United, Arsenal, Chelsea. I've not checked. Obviously, in my lifetime, obviously, I don't think any of us have finished the place above the relegation zone. So from a Premier League perspective,
Top
like, because after
four,
17th,
Liverpool top
well,
four
yeah,
in
well,
terms
if you
of
knew
what
the original Big
Liverpool
Four.
are what who?
The original Big Four, United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, before Spurs and City got added into it and it became the Big Six. It was the original Big Four.
Okay.
Oh, is that new? Oh, that's
I
news
don't
to
know
you.
who
But yeah,
nailed that concrete, but
I mean, it was literally, if you Google it, the Big Four, it comes up. But yeah, go
I'm
on,
I'm
Razak.
gonna side with Mr. Datsun. I do think I don't like that term. I'll be honest with you. I
no,
think given in recent years, I don't like the
Oh yeah,
term.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't create it. He's talking like I created it. I mean, the
No, no, of
the
course
term
not.
that
But
is
I'm just
being given.
saying that social media, the news, this I don't know who created it or where it stemmed from, but the idea of
Sky
Big Four and
Sports
top
probably,
four
yeah.
or top four and top six, once upon a time, it was quite stable. You could easily predict at the start of the season who was going to finish in the top four. It was United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. I mean, that was a given in the early 2000s. But obviously, we've seen recently the dynamic has completely changed. We've seen Newcastle, Villa, and Forest this season all finish in the top four or about to finish in the top four for Forest. And these were teams that were recently promoted and once upon a time, within a decade, relegated. That's my two pence on that situation. So I don't think, let's not have too much controversy around the whole top four, top six, because at the end of the day, the top four
look,
is fine.
for me, you can have top four, top six, but it's generational. It's like over like period of time. Like there's a different top four 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of
So
course.
Yeah,
like as long as you say the top four 10 years ago was this, then but to sort of it sounded like it's just been created. Football's been around for years. There's teams that have
I know. Sky Sports gave it the original Big Four terms because they were the same four teams finishing in the top four for
To
pretty much like a
summarize top
decade.
four in a nutshell, there's different ways. It's quite vague. If we say top four by biggest club, of course, Man United is number one. I'm sorry, until we fall off
yeah, that's what I mean. I think the
dramatically,
phrase is just ridiculous. The
Man
phrase is just
United
And
has
then
the
ridiculous.
biggest
created.
fan base, has the biggest
I
money,
didn't
has
say
the
you
biggest
created
stadium in
it,
the
Sion.
UK.
I'm just saying the phrase
Yeah, yeah, of
is
course.
sort of
I think if
like
we're talking
there's
top
no
four based
phrase to
on
it.
cumulative performance over the past few years, I mean, what if we said top four by trophies? I think United deserves to be there.
100% was United and Liverpool top two.
If we talk about
Chelsea,
trophies
Arsenal,
based on the
City.
past 5 seasons, currently two of the teams that we put in the top six haven't even won a trophy in the past 5 years. So
Yeah,
it's argumentative, but right as of right now, in any aspect, in my opinion, United is not considered top four or top six. We've been abysmal. We haven't achieved what we should be achieving, the once the great United was. This season, ultimately, I said it from months ago, even though I didn't want to, the minute Ten Hag was sacked, the season was written off. It shouldn't have been, but it was. Ultimately, Amarin came in. This is a trial season. I was optimistic at the start. I would lie to you, and I'll be lying if I didn't say I'm not skeptical or a bit paranoid about how his influence has been on the squad. And what I mean by that is, it's great what he's doing in the Europa League. It's great that, we're still in a cup competition. We could argue that we maybe got unlucky against Fulham in the pens against in the FA Cup, but I'm a bit worried how we're going to set up in the Prem. Ultimately, it's black and white. The players are not good enough for Prem quality. Is Amarin going to go and fix that in the summer? Will the board back him? So it's a bit of a difficult one. Right now, we're not top four. This it is going to be the worst United season ever, worst top six or top four finish ever. However, this will all be forgotten if United go and win the Europa League. Because I was
well,
going to throw a slight dig.
yeah, yeah,
United still have a chance of getting Champions League. Now,
yeah,
as people here that studied English and also Mr. Datsun slightly working in the press, you can manipulate and twist words. It's no longer you can mention top four, but I'm here saying Champions League. Why is that? Because United still chance stand a chance. I mean, let me include Tottenham. Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur stand a chance of getting Champions League.
Yeah.
So when the media want to talk
yeah,
about top four, who's going to get Champions League, make sure to include those two clubs until they get knocked out.
I
yeah.
think
No,
I think one of them will get it. I think one of them will win the Europa League. Man United or Tottenham will win that Europa League. I think it will be. It reminds me back in the Champions League when, like, Man United played Chelsea and all that. I think it's a real shame, and I heard it today on the radio about how it's a real shame that you end up getting to Europa or European final and you end up playing a team from your own league. It's a bit sort of. Do you know what I mean? It's not as fairy tale or as like do you know you don't want to say I got to the final and lost to like a team in your league or vice versa. There'd always be
yeah,
criticism, but I think you're spot on. The Champions League is still doable, and if Man United end up winning the Europa League and get a Champions League spot, that's only going to enhance his chances managing them next year to attract some key players. But you're right; you've got to give him time. You've got to give him till Christmas, December. You've got to give him to December because he's got to have a pre-season. He's got to shift out and he's got to get players in. And then United have got to get back into that top half of the league and then see what happens. Yes, I think enhancement would come if they win the Europa League. I think they got the toughest semi-final, I think, on paper. But then you can't rule out this Norwegian team that knocked out Lazio on penalties, who faced Tottenham. You can't just say just because they're like a lower sort of the country and the league and all that. They got to do something to get to the semi-final.
yeah,
So it's not going to be easy for Tottenham, and you don't know which team. But it's similar for Man United. You don't know which team's going to turn up, to play in it. But Man United's season, for a Premier League's point of view, has been disappointed. But it's their own fault from the management. They shouldn't have. You won the FA Cup last year, correct? You should have got rid of your manager then, and then got a new one to give him that and then halfway, you know what I mean? That's your downfall, and you're spot on with that with Sanford in terms of like you can't blame the incoming manager and what he's had to pick up. But he's obviously tried his best. I think he's got the Rashford situation wrong in terms of it being public. Not necessarily in terms of like Rashford may have been his last season at United, but he should have finished it at United, not on loan to Villa. But I just think United have got the opportunity now to still win a major tournament in terms of like the Europa League, gets them into the Champions League. And when you're going into the Champions League next season and you finish something like 14th or 15th in your own league, that's bloody daft. That's just ridiculous because it's called the Champions League. But like you're getting it because you won the competition just below that in terms of the Europa League. But I think that whole principle is wrong. You just win the title, you win that European Cup, whatever it is, Conference League or Champions League. You don't go anywhere. That's it. That's it. That's it. You start the season again. Because people can similar to Chelsea, they might not get anywhere, and they're relying on winning the conference to get into the Europa League. Do Man United deserve to be in Champions League next year? Do Tottenham deserve to be in the Champions League next year? No, based on their league performance. But one of them will win the Europa League, so they'll be in it.
Wait, that's obviously you said an English club will win it. Who do you think will win it if you had to pick out of
What
the two?
Europa League?
Yeah. Who from now?
Well, I
Obviously,
think who do I want?
you could give both. Give both. You can give both.
Uh, I like Ange as a manager and the way he manages. I like his very sort of So I'm edging towards Tottenham, but I think the luck's been with United. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of them gets to the final and neither of them win it. It's been such a weird competition.
Ross? Oh, you're gonna say United, obviously.
Of course, I have to back my team no matter what. Sorry
Yeah,
to
he was still
go on the other
backing them
side of
when
the
they were still
coin
2 goals
with the
deficit
Datsun, but
last
I can't
Wednesday.
stand Andrew as a person. I think the way he conducts himself post-match in the tunnel, the situation with the fan, it's making silly comments like you've put me in a corner. It's a square room. Of course, it's a corner, but yeah. That's my
No.
opinion. So I'll leave that to a side. It's all good.
I think Bilbao will win it. I think
I
I'm
think
betting
Bilbao
Bilbao
will
will
win
win
it
it.
as well. I think
Yeah, that's what.
Bilbao
Yeah,
are the relentless
I
Salah.
think one of them will get to the final.
Yeah.
Whether anyone will win it, I don't know.
I think Spurs
Fan.
Bilbao final, and it's in Bilbao Stadium. They're hosting the final as
I was
well.
going to
So
say where's it being hosted. So that's an
they're the hosts.
incentive.
It's in Bilbao.
That's an incentive for them in their semi-final. I think they got the
Yeah.
first leg at home. I think they got the first leg at home and then the
Yeah.
second leg at home.
They got
May
the first,
8th,
yeah.
second leg.
They got the first leg at home. For me, it's no coincidence where you look at the Europa League and the Champions League. The most successful clubs in both of them are Spanish for me, and it's no coincidence. When it comes to Spanish teams in Europe, they know how to obviously manage the game, the dark arts, the possession, basically. Like when those like the mistakes Leon made, obviously I know they were down to 10 men, but still the way they managed that game, if that was a Spanish team, I don't think it happens, to be honest. So I do think
So will
Bilbao.
you go for Barcelona then for the Champions League?
Barcelona, I've seen their defense. The thing is, up until the last round, I thought probably Barcelona stood a good chance, but I see the way they defend. They won 4-3 on the weekend. Celta Vigo should have scored about 6 goals. So I don't think Barcelona win that. I actually think Inter will go through across the two legs against Barca. I think Inter playing Barca.
Yeah.
I think yeah. So I think
Yeah, no,
Inter.
you're right. I just thought you were saying something about a Spanish team will win like a good enough
Yeah,
to
yeah,
win
no,
it.
no. I say it's no coincidence that the most
Yeah,
successful clubs in both the Champions League and the Europa League are both Spanish. Obviously, Real Madrid in the Champions League, Sevilla in the Europa League. They're the record holders of that.
Let's not
And with
forget Real
Bilbao,
Betis
with the added
Betis.
incentive of the final being at home, at their home stadium, it will be a massive home advantage for them. So I think with that alone, I think they'll want to make sure they do everything to go through against United. And if they play how they have been playing, like if both teams play at their best in terms of what they currently have to offer, Bilbao will
yeah.
win. Bilbao go through. So
The only,
United
the only,
are bound to have an off day.
yeah, I think Arsenal need to recreate what they did in the first leg against Real Madrid when they play PSG. I don't see that happening. I don't
Yeah,
see that happening because as much, and both of you know this very clearly, I'm a massive fan of Declan Rice. So this isn't no criticism of him. But if he gets 2 free kicks again in the first leg of the semi-final, he ain't going to do what he did against Madrid.
Yeah,
nah,
of
yeah,
course.
Do you know what I mean? So, and if he does, he deserves to win the Ballon d'Or. Do you know what I mean? So, there's no argument from that. So, if he does, fantastic. But the only reason I would want Arsenal to win the Champions League is the only reason would be that Chelsea win the conference, Man United or Spurs win the Europa, and Arsenal, like three English teams win all the three domestic European cups.
Ross. So what Datsun just said, if that happens, or we all win nothing. So you win the Europa, but it means Arsenal win the champs and we
We
win
all win
conference.
nothing. We're all
We all win
losers.
nothing. exactly the
Yeah,
same.
I'd rather win nothing.
Exactly the
That's what I'm
same with
saying.
me.
I'm saying
Exactly the
that's
Nothing.
the
same.
And
only reason.
the
It's
thing
the
is,
only
right,
reason I
people
would want
don't
Arsenal
understand.
to win the Champions League.
Me
It's the only
personally, and I
reason I
think
would
a
want
few Man United
Arsenal.
fans can agree, I have nothing to lose this season. I have nothing to lose. I am going
To
to be
be
the most
honest,
shameless fan.
Yeah.
What people need to understand is
You're
the
Sanford,
beauty
you're
is
talking
the
so much
Europa League
sense.
final is being played first.
So much
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
for Sanford.
Arsenal
Yeah.
fans, anyone can come and bully me, laugh at me, but then that gap between the Europa League semi final and the Champions League final, which is only 4 days, they better get everything done in that day. Because if Arsenal go to the final and lose, look, the way history aligned itself, right? 2006, they beat Real Madrid, go to the final, lose to Barcelona.
Yeah.
This season, they beat Real Madrid, go to the final. If they get
Mm.
Barcelona, I'm sorry, Barcelona are winning it.
But Sanford, you're so good. You're spot on tonight because the fact is, right, if Man United don't win the Europa League, it's not that bad. It's not like there's no sort of, do you know what I mean? Considering what season you've had, same with Tottenham. Okay, the thing with Arsenal, they can't afford to get to the final and lose again. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is just because
Yeah.
potentially at the moment, we all know Arsenal fans and everyone's walking around as if they're like, da 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 da.
Mm.
But we all know they've still not won anything yet.
Hmm.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. So if they don't make the final, or if they get to the final and lose, what's going to happen now? Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I
Whereas
mean,
Man United, if they win it, that's great. If they lose it, that's what you would expect on the season that they've had.
mm. I
So
mean, yeah, obviously, he literally, obviously, nothing to lose with us. We're probably gonna get Europa League through the Prem anyways. But even if we were 15th, I still don't care. Yeah, I can't win. I'm not taking a Conference League. And Arsenal winning that, not a chance. But moving on to West Ham, James, what's the sort of general consensus with Potter? I've seen obviously
listen,
the playing
listen,
style and everything's
you,
improved. So how do
Boys,
fans?
you know my views. You know my views. I have, and how I word it, and how I have to, what I need to say, and how I say it, and all of that. But what I say here would be the same, even if where I am in terms of my work and all that, and my commitment to the club. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah, it was a poor judgment call on the original replacement for Moyes. Would never work. I said that from the start. That's nothing against Julian. Nice enough bloke, really good. But West Ham have tried that route before. It's never worked. Yeah. So the inevitable happened. Yes, they've got Potter in now. And if I was to be comparison, there's not much when you look at the statistics. Potter's only won 3 games. He's been in charge for 100 days. He's had so many games. I don't know how many games he's had now, probably about 14, 15. He's only won 3 of them. He's drawn
Oh
about 5
wow.
or 6.
Mhm.
So, statistically, we're not moving anywhere. We're not moving anywhere. You could say ultimately we're lucky that the 3 teams below us are that far behind and have always been. This is the point. Always been that far behind when he took over. There was never any doubt about going down. Whether that didn't push the players to play as hard or whatever as they had to, there was no real pressure with relegation. But the problem what Potter's done and what people are liking about it, he came in, we were leaking 2.6 goals a game or something like that. He sorted out the defence to a level that if we did lose the game, it would be by 1 goal maybe. Not that we were like 2 or 3 nil down after like half. Like, do you know what I mean? Which we were at the beginning of the season. So he sorted out the defence. He hasn't got the balance right of the midfield and the attack. But like West Ham have been like that for a number of seasons in terms of we've never had a decent striker that's going to get us 15, 20 goals a season for a long time. And the balance and like we've got players, and I've been speaking like as a fan and someone that knows the club inside out. Kudus, Paquetá, they've not been playing at the form they were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They're off the boil. Bowen is carrying the team. The midfield's a little bit disjointed. I don't think we've had a settled midfield of whether he wants to play Soler, Souček, Alvarez. He doesn't really know which. Ward Prowse has come in and played a lot. Do you know what I mean? So it's very disjointed. But in a nutshell, I'll let him get on with that and Potter can make the decisions. And he will offload a lot of the players. There's about 6 to 8 players that run out of contract at the end of the season. So I don't think many of them will be staying. Then there's a few others that we will move on and sell and hopefully get some money back. Potter will bring in 1 or 2 players, hopefully. and he'll gel. He likes the academy. He likes some of the younger players. But his what's the word I'm looking for? His sort of tenure, his real sort of time will be the start of next season. And West Ham need to be in the top half of the table at Christmas for people to see what's working. And that's where, and he needs to get a good cup run, and he needs to bring, whether that will happen and he'll be given the time to do it, I think he will. But it's going to be an interesting ride because it doesn't help. And I always mention him because he's one of my, I know him quite well. But it doesn't help when you've got David Moyes doing such a wonderful job at Everton. And people forget when he took over at Everton, he risked his whole career of coming back into football with his big club that he's loved and worked at for so many years that gave him his sort of stability as a manager. They were almost like in the bottom three at the time. Couldn't score for anything. Couldn't score any goals. Couldn't get a win for loving the bunny. And if you took from when he took over to now, he'd be in the top three of the Premier League.
Yep.
Everton would be in the top three of the Premier League. So you sometimes sort of like they made a little bit of an error with the wrong appointment after they got rid of Moyes. That's not to say I agree with Moyes going, but he had to go in the end. But the wrong appointment. Potter will, the jury is still out on Potter. I think he's doing good stuff at the training ground. I think he's got a mindset that's very his own, and he knows which way he wants to play. When you look at, and this is the thing, when you look at his records at Brighton and at Chelsea, you've got to sort of think, what did he actually achieve there?
I mean, more so at us at Brighton. Actually, at Brighton, I think very good. Obviously, at us, us was a flop. I think maybe it was a too much of a big step too soon. I think at us.
But if Brighton are a fantastic club, well run.
Yeah, yes.
You look from Potter did a fantastic job. The next manager that came in, fantastic job. The current manager, fantastic job. Because of the setup.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's what Potter needs to bring to West Ham, and hopefully he'll be able to do that. But I think there's nothing to play for now for West Ham. It's been, pretty not as competitive football as I would like to see at the end of the season. But, it's what it is, and we go with it. I think the race is to see who finishes fourth and bottom between us, Wolves, Man United, and Tottenham.
I mean, I'll get Ross's perspective in a minute. From the outside looking in, I think what the main difference I've noticed from sort of previous West Ham teams, I looked at the game at Anfield and I was actually very impressed with West Ham. The Liverpool were
Second
pending
half,
most of that second half. Like it's very rare for Liverpool at Anfield for large spells. It felt like most of the second half penned into their own half. You look at obviously David Moyes, who I'll probably say probably the most successful. Obviously, you knew what the game plan was. They would soak up the pressure, two banks of four, hit on the break. But West Ham were in Liverpool's half for most of that second half, and I think that will be the main difference. I think with Potter, where next season at the Etihad, Anfield, Old Trafford, Emirates, they're not afraid to assert themselves on the game, possession, moving it around. Whereas previous West Ham teams probably give the opposition, the bigger teams, give them the ball and play on the break.
To a degree, you're spot on, Sion. Moisey was very much, they can have the ball, we'll let them come onto us, and then we'll break on the counter. And when he was doing that, he had players like Kudus, Paquetá, Bowen on fire, literally.
Yeah.
Whereas now, Potter wants to bring in, actually, no, we want the ball. We want to be able to play. We want to press in their half. We want to sort of create chances. But it's just lacking that little bit of, spark.
Yeah.
A little bit of spark. Like Paquetá's a fantastic player, and I don't want to see him go, but I think majority of West Ham fans will want to say, let's recoup what we can, Stuff going around about Kudus is 99% sure going to leave. But it's my club. I love West Ham. I think, I'll have this saying, I'll back the manager as much as I can and support them as much as I can. And I won't be too vocal during the season, And I'm right. Potter's got till Christmas with me, and I think he'll get it right. But it's not going to be sort of like, top 4, top 6, top 8. It'll be top half of the table, maybe a nice cup run, and we'll see the occasional, like outstanding game as opposed to sort of just winning the odd few, you know. And
Yeah, Ross.
Potter was tasked with being England manager a few years ago.
Ross, anything to add on West Ham before we move on?
I think West Ham they have quality individuals, but they can't gel as a team. If you look at West Ham's squad on paper, you've got Paquetá, Kudos, Bowen. You've got great players,
Mhm.
but there's no one in the middle, in my opinion, or as Mr. Dawson said earlier, a striker at number nine to bring those front three to convert the strikes. I
Hmm.
think that's their issue. They do lack that creativity up front and in the middle of the park, but on the wings, through the number 10, I think they're thriving.
I mean, when you
We
talk
missed.
about
I'll
the
tell you who
midfield,
we did
yeah,
miss. Who we did miss. Sorry,
yeah, yeah.
Sion. I'll tell you who's one of the best players this season. Who's been a real sort of spark is Wan-Bissaka. Like the pace of him down the side really complements Emerson on the other side. You know,
Mm.
but when we don't have either of them playing, we're very lack that sort of edge on the side. You know, that gives
Yeah.
a bit more space ahead of them for the other three. But
I
now
mean,
we're what it is. We've got 5 games left, 2 at home, 3 away. We go to Old Trafford. That'll be a good game. We're at Brighton, our bogey team, but I think we won last season there. Um, then we got Tottenham, which should
mm,
be like we played Tottenham, Man United, and we're looking at trying to jump over them in the league. You know, and then
uh,
we've got Forest, and then we've got Ipswich last game. So
I mean, going back on to what Ross said, in terms of the midfield, I always remember that, like I always say, that West Ham team, that 21-22 team scared me. When obviously Rice was there, Lanzini, Fornals, and then they still had Prime Antonio, Bowen was in that team. That West Ham
Thomas
team,
Soucek,
pretty, that,
Thomas Soucek was a solid
yeah, yeah,
player in that
exactly.
team.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously Soucek's still there now, but obviously starting to age a bit more. That West Ham team, I keep saying, remember they City and Liverpool got 92 and 93 points that season when City came back against Villa. None of them went to West Ham and won, and obviously, yeah, and then obviously they done us as well. Like I remember that lunchtime kickoff, I was there, and then we were top of the league, never saw top again. That team was a bit formidable. Zuma obviously was there, so some good players in that team. And in terms of James, was talking about the away trip to Brighton. I've got something for West Ham in terms of score prediction. He'll be happy with it when he sees it when it comes out on Saturday morning. But moving on to the
Uh,
final topic of the day, FA Cup. What do you think? Obviously, it's the semi-finals this weekend.
uh,
What final would you like to see? What final would you like to see? Because I've got mine.
I don't want to see. No offense to any Forest supporter, but I don't want to see Forest in it because if they do get to the final, that will mean our Forest home games have to be rearranged for an evening game, and I don't want that. So I want a Palace Man City final,
Is it
but
Ross?
that's being crazy. But I think it'll end up being Villa Forest.
Go on, Ross. Go on.
I can't stand City. You guys already know. Villa all the way.
Come on, De
I think
Bruyne final finish gets the FA
Get
Cup.
out of it.
I've,
Nah.
De
the,
Bruyne, come
the
on.
my worst, not necessarily fear, but the worst thing that can happen again in football is Man City Watford all over again. I think if that happens, it's a disgrace. I would feel ashamed getting knocked out of Fulham. I can't have that again. I need who is it? Is it Villa's playing City or
Villa Palace, Forest
Forest?
City.
Yeah, I need Forest to turn up. I mean, Forest winning it does nothing to
I
me.
was surprised how good they were at White Hart Lane, Forest, from the
Yeah,
off.
They were
you know
really
what?
good.
I thought obviously with the cup coming up, I thought maybe they'd be a bit more reserved in terms of like resting for that game. But no, they were very impressive
They
against
badly
Forest.
want top four, Forest,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
history, for the
I
history,
th- hmm,
for the
As
history.
a
yeah.
United fan, seeing how bad City were for a period of time, that needs to reflect. It can't be just brushed underneath the rug. They can't finish top
City,
four and
City
get
could,
They get third and
then
win the
getting
FA
City
Cup.
could
getting
end up. I was
beaten
going to
at
say, I was
back
going to
four.
say
It ain't
that
that
City
bad.
could end up winning the FA Cup and getting third and getting
That is
Champions
one of the
League.
best
That's what I'm saying.
so-called
Like
dead
they
seasons I've
City would
seen,
make
especially
an
against
a,
Chelsea.
a,
Any
a
club,
season that
any
any
club
Arsenal
would
fan would
love that.
take look like it's nothing.
Yeah,
Sion. Arsenal fans would love to win the FA Cup, get third and Champions League.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
how good
exactly.
that
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
That's how
I,
good that is.
I remember in the latter years, I think when Wenger did that, what 2015 and stuff like that, he was the bloody Messiah again. So like, yeah.
So,
But
Dornan, so the same from you want Forest in the final. Who do you want them to play between
I
Villa
wanted to
or
play
Palace?
Villa. I wanted to be a
Like
thriller.
Forest, Villa.
you,
I'll
you
probably go Man City, Palace because I just don't want Forest because I don't want to change my last home game of the season. Sion.
you know what? So I definitely want Forest to beat City. And then it's
Oh,
a bit technical. It's a bit technical for me because our COO is a Villa fan where I work, and our CFO is a Palace fan. Is a Palace fan, so I don't want to upset
I'm
either
not being
of them.
funny. I'm not being funny. Sion, I'm not being funny. If you're going to start bringing that in, your mentor of like 10 years is a West Ham fan and you never predict them to win.
No, no, but
So,
like,
like,
West
what's
Ham aren't
that
India.
about? Your
If West Ham,
CEO's a Villa fan.
if
Oh,
West, hey,
next you'll be telling me you're
relax.
clean as a
In
Villa
terms of
fan or
in terms
something.
of West Ham, right? In terms of
Oh
West Ham,
my God,
the
your
only
barber's a Palace fan. What's
no, no,
going on? What are you
no.
going to choose?
In terms of English clubs, right? To end that narrative, the only time I've ever wanted an English club to win a European final that we weren't in was actually West Ham, West Ham Fiorentina. That's the only time, and probably the only time I'd
What's
ever
that
support an
got to
English
do
club.
with you choosing who's going to win out of Villa and Palace? Because
No,
your
no, no. But
CEO is a
just to
Villa
shut down
fan
that
and
narrative about your mentor was a West Ham fan and stuff, I wanted West Ham to win that. But in terms of Villa Palace, I don't care who wins. I just need City gone. I need City gone. I
you've
need
got
City
that
gone.
CEO.
But in terms of the final, in terms of okay, in terms of if I had to choose,
Oh,
I
no,
want
I've got
Villa.
it.
I want Villa
I've,
Forest. I want Villa
I've worked
Forest
it
Midlands
out with
Derby.
something. I've worked it out with something. He
Midlands
wants
Derby.
Villa to win so his CEO can get him a ticket to the final.
Yeah, makes
No, no,
sense.
wait. Oh, no, our
Sorry, mate.
CFO is
You
a
know what
Palace
it's
fan.
like.
Our
On
CFO
the
is a Palace
freebie
fan.
as always. On the freebie as always. Oh dear.
Our CEO, by the way, our CEO is a
Can
Sheffield
I just
United
say
fan.
something?
Our CEO is a Sheffield United fan.
Before we run out of time and quickly, especially for our listeners, because our listeners that watch this all the time would know that I often have a little dig at a certain football club called the Ditch. And I've been banging on for years that they've tried so many times to win this title. And I've been
Uh,
banging on so many times that certain people need to leave and join the average Joes.
but
Oh, see, who do you play for now on a
by the
Tuesday?
way,
Oh, the average Joes.
to all our viewers, we've got
Oh,
obviously
oh,
most of our members
average
now
Joe
they're no
player. So he's
longer in
left the
London anymore.
ditch.
They know
He's
who they
ditched
are.
them and now playing with the winning team.
They know
He's now playing with the
what's it?
winning
Our
team.
club, by the way, is folded, so we're no longer part of the league. So
The
now,
Shantham. Let's go fishing. Let's go fishing.
I mean,
It's
I'm
too
just saying
easy. It's too
because
easy.
the viewers they know me. They know me. I'm
It's too
one of the most
easy.
loyal people there are. I will never
So
betray
you're
anyone.
playing for who are you playing for now on a Tuesday night?
Unlike some,
Who are you playing for on a Tuesday
play
night?
for another team in our league.
Called.
That's none of the viewers. None of the viewers
Oh,
need to
okay.
know. No, none
Okay,
of the
so
viewers need to
it's
know.
not glory
That's my
hunting.
personal life. I'm sure the viewers have no interest in that.
Anyway, anyway,
But
anyway. Let's end this. Let's
Midlands
say
Derby, FA
goodnight.
Cup final, and Villa to win the final. Villa are my team to win the FA Cup. And yeah,
He's going corporate on the final with his CEO as a Villa fan.
I'm not
Oh
going to the
God.
final by the way because
Oh my
Our
God.
CEO is a Sheffield United fan. But take
Unbelievable.
care, everyone. Like, subscribe, and share.
Unbelievable.
See you all again soon.